Interstellar, it is one of the greatest masterpieces ever done. It is one of the greatest science fiction film ever came. But you'd have heard a lot about Interstellar, its science, its climax, and you would have seen a lot of aspects of Interstellar in YouTube. In this video, we will be discussing how exactly you can write a story like Interstellar, how you can write a script like Interstellar. To write a script, there are two most important elements. First, a basic idea, a one liner, a log line, or anything you might call it. You need that. It should be organic, it should be creative. Uh, that is up to you to get the idea. And the second is a story structure. What exactly is story structure? We need to understand that before we understand story structure. What is story structure? At its simplest, story structure is a skeleton of a narrative. It is a logical framework that organizes the events or plot. Uh, that is a story structure. It is just a blueprint of a film. Just like you have blueprint for your house, it blueprint for your plot. That is a story structure. It doesn't mean that it is a rigid formula, but a guide to pacing and emotional impact. It gives you a sequence of events that can be done based on your story. So, why exactly do we need a story structure? For the writer, it's a map. It prevents that writer's block, which every writer gets, and it helps them manage the pacing so that the story doesn't go too fast or too slow, and it creates meaning. It helps to ensure that the events of the story logically build up to a thematic point rather than just being and then this happened list. So, and for the audience, it's satisfying. Humans are wired to patterns. Seeing the same patterns feels right, and sometimes breaking the patterns also impresses the audience. But yeah, this is how it works. It builds the empathy in audience. It creates a tension in audience and plot. So, how can a story structure be used? Writers use a structure in three main ways. The first is outlining, just to outline the story, how it goes, how it works, what happens after this, what happens after that, like that. Second is drafting, and the third one is rewriting. Most commonly, they use a story structure in rewriting. First, they outline a story, then they write a full draft. Before writing, a writer can map out their main plot points onto a structure to see if the story works in their outlining. And in the drafting part during writing, it serves as a north star. It helps them to know where exactly should they go. It's like a map for them so that they know that they are on a right track. And in rewriting after the first track, if a story feels wrong, a writer can overlay with the structure and diagnose the problem so that they can fix the story and make it even more engaging. So, what are the examples of story structure? One of the famous example is the three-act structure, the most classic one. It establishes the story in three main acts. Act 1, the setup, it introduces the world and the character, and an inciting incident kicks off the story. And in Act 2, the confrontation, the character faces escalating obstacles, culminating in a major crisis. And in Act 3, the story comes to the resolution, the climax. And we have examples such as Hero's Journey, which is another video's topic. And we have Save the Cat, which we will be discussing in the later part of the video to compare it with Interstellar. So, what exactly is the future of this story structure? Interactive narratives use in video games they use this structure. Then a lot of series use this structure, and a lot of things use this. Even training AI models will be fed with these story structures so that they can generate a story based on this structure. Now that we entered the second part of the video, we will be discussing the most famous commercially used structure, which is called Save the Cat. It is one of the famous popular uh, story structure. It was popularized by the screenwriter Blake Snyder. He published his book Save the Cat in 2005. It's essentially much more detailed 15-beat blueprint, which we have right here, which we'll be discussing just now. Just give us some time. So It is based on the classic three-act structure. It is famous for being extremely practical and even perspective, suggesting specific page numbers for each beat. So let's understand how exactly he came up with it. First and foremost, Blake Snyder is one of the Hollywood's most successful screenwriter who sold many spec scripts even before the writers were hired. And how did he exactly came up with this formula was he analyzed dozens and successful Hollywood films and found all the shared common patterns which came up to be this 15 beat framework, and he saw this pattern to be worked for a consistently long time. So he wrote this book demystifying screenwriting and providing a practical tool to writers to craft stories and actually sell it. Now that we understood what exactly is the story structure and what is Save the Cat, we will understand Save the Cat's 15 beats. 15 beats is nothing but 15 points which will help you to write a story. We just call it beats in according to Blake Snyder. And we will be discussing each beat in detail with comparison of Interstellar, how they used these 15 beats in their film. Let's just start. The Save the Cat beat sheet is based on three-act structure. The second act has been divided into Act 2A and Act 2B, and we have totally three acts. So let's go with the first act. The first act's first beat is the opening image. In this opening image, it shows the world and introduces the protagonist's normal life. Example in Interstellar, a dusty, blighted earth with dwindling crops, and Cooper Murphy experienced the ghost setting the tone and mystery and struggle, symbolizing mankind's fall of desire, redemption, and etc. And the second beat is the theme stated. The theme, usually the moral of the story, hinted stated clearly by a character in the movie. In Interstellar, Murphy calls a strange phenomenon, and Cooper discusses the limits of science. Science is about admitting what we don't know. The conflict here is science alone can save humanity, or is there something else like love or faith? Usually, the theme of the story will be raised as a question. So, like in Interstellar, can science quantify everything? That's the theme of the story. And the third beat is the setup. Here we left it. This is one of the most boring part of a film. We introduce all the main characters, then we will tell what exactly is happening in this world, what are the stakes, what are the conditions. For example, Cooper's farming life, relationship with his children, the school principal's focus on farming over education reflects a societal decision. Cooper's clear love for his children, his internal conflict about their future, Earth's environmental crisis as the external conflict, and so on. And the fourth rises the catalyst. The catalyst is an inciting incident, an upside down incident which happens in the protagonist's life, which changes his life upside down. In Interstellar, NASA reveals the wormhole and asks Cooper to pilot the mission to find the new habitable planet. Cooper is forced to consider leaving everything behind. And the fifth beat is the debate. The protagonist debates internally whether to embark the journey that has been given by the catalyst or not. He will be in a confusion. For example, in Cooper's emotional struggle over leaving Murphy, his family versus mission's importance, Murph begs him not to go, showing the emotional stakes. This is the debate, and in the sixth beat is break into two. This is where the choice. This is where the protagonist makes the choice to enter the new world and the journey begins. Cooper boards to the Endurance spaceship, leaving the Earth for a dangerous unknown interstellar quest. With this break into two, we enter into second act, Act 2A. Act 2A starts with a beat called B Story. This is where the subplot of the film starts. For example, Dr. Brand's faith in natural law and love contrasts with Cooper's reliance on rational science, which is the subplot of the story. The subplot with Brand and Cooper's daughter Murph grounds the film emotionally and thematically. And the eighth beat is the fun and games. This is where the premise starts. This is the exact moment why you came to the film starts. In a comedy film, this is the most humorous part. In a crime film, it is the most thrilling part. And in a horror film, it is the most horrifying part, and so on. And it is it covers a lot of portion of the film. Fun and games. After fun and games, we enter into the ninth beat, which is called the midpoint. This is where the protagonist either faces a false victory or a false defeat. The stakes escalate. For example, in Interstellar, the false hope with Miller's planet, but deep loss as they lose decades to time dilation. Cooper learns about the vast time lost on Earth, increasing urgency and stakes. The team faces tough decisions about which planet to pursue next. This is where the interval of the films kicks in. And with this interval block, we enter into the Act 2B, the second part of Act 2. The first beat of Act 2B is bad guys closing. In this, the antagonistic forces and the internal doubts increase the pressure. For example, in Interstellar, the Dr. Munn's betrayal serves as external antagonist, posing a physical and moral danger, and Cooper's internal struggle about the mission's risk and lies intensifies it, and the resources and the time grow scarce, becomes a pressure mounts. And the 11th beat is the all is lost beat. The protagonist's lowest point, failure seems inevitable. Cooper plunges into the black hole, and it appears the mission is lost. He is stranded alone in the mysterious dimension of time. And that's why we enter into the 12th beat. There will be some hope from him. The emotionally low point reflection inside. He goes through a total internal reflection inside the Tesseract. Cooper relieves the moments of Murphy's room, realizing that he was the ghost. He is forced to accept the sacrifice and hope, understanding the gravity transcends the space. And this is where we enter into break into 3. Where a new plan or insight leads to the final push. Cooper uses the gravity to send quantum data to encode the Morse code to Murph. This data will be enable her to solve the gravity equation on Earth, giving humanity a chance. Then we enter into Act 3, which leads us to the finale of the film. The finale beat is divided into 5 subbeats. First one, gather the team. This is where Murph decodes the message, rallying the effort to save the humanity. Then he executes his plan, and there will be a high tower surprise where the Cooper is rescued and reunited with the aged Murph. And Cooper dig deep down, and he finds out that he could send signals from the 4th dimension, and he executes his new plan by sending the quantum data. Finale can be done in a separate video. We will do that in detail in separate video. And the last beat of the film is the final image. If you remember the opening image, the first beat of the film, we have established the world and show how the world was before the event. In the final image, we will show the exact opposite of the opening image. In the opening image, we have shown the world which is being pushed towards a dystopian world where everything is getting slowly out of our hands. But in the final image, everything will be in our hands. Mirrors the opening image but shows growth or change. The hopeful sight of the new colony, Edmund's planet, contrasts with Earth's disparate beginning, symbolizing survival through love and science is intervened. This is where our story ends. And in Parasite, it would be the same frame which was started at the first film, and the last film will be the same frame. If it is a book ending, it would be really great. It would have a perfect book ending, but not all films gain that. So that's it for this video. I think that you would have gained some more insights for your story, and see you in the next one. Bye.